Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, hi everyone. My name is Kelsey Kaiser. I graduated from K-State in August of 2018. And while at K-State, I played soccer and majored in marketing. And then I also received the professional strategic selling certificate that Rebecca was talking about. I know now it's a major, so that's awesome. But at that time, it was just a certificate. And then upon graduating, I went into IT recruiting with BrookSource. And I've been there for going on 2 years now. I'm still in recruiting, but have shifted my focus into the government vertical specifically. So that's what I'm currently doing. To give a little bit of background on my company, BrookSource is an IT recruiting and staffing firm. We work with Fortune 500 companies across 27 different markets in the US, and we help connect top IT talent with our clients' changing needs. So we do everything from staff augmentation to managed services, and then also workforce transformation, which focuses on associate level talent like you guys, and then also helping veterans transition into the workforce. And then we do definitely offer internal internship and entry-level positions as well. Since my time being in the Nashville market, we've had 2 interns and they have both gotten some really good hands-on experience shadowing the recruitment and the sales side of things. So I've gotten to see that firsthand. And we are a promote from within company. So everyone that starts with BrookSource starts out in the recruiting seat, which is pretty cool. And then there's a bunch of different routes that you can take from there. Some stick in recruiting like myself, still in that seat, but you can also transition into sales down the road. And then there's a lot of different leadership opportunities that you can transition into as well. We are a pretty young company, and culture is definitely a big piece for us. So it's definitely a very fun work environment. I know the Nashville office has a very, close-knit family feel. So if that's something that is important to you within your job search, I definitely would highly recommend looking into us further. The one piece about BrookSource, though, we unfortunately don't have an office in Kansas City yet. I know there have been talks of that being one of the next locations, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I've definitely stated, my stance on that they should look into that for sure. But we're not in the area yet. So for anyone looking to stay local, we unfortunately won't have anything in the Kansas City area. But for anybody open to relocation for either internship or entry level, there is definitely some offices pretty close by. I was trying to think of the ones that would be closest to Kansas City. Nashville obviously is the one that I'm based out of. And then we also have an office in St. Louis, which I know isn't too far. Chicago, there's one in Dallas, Columbus, Ohio, that's not really that close, but and there's a number of other ones. Like I said, we're in 27 different markets, so you can definitely look further into all of our locations on our website. But that's just a little bit of background on the company. Some things that have been different since COVID hit, I would say there's definitely been some changes with, just our workflow. But for the most part, we're doing everything the same other than the fact that now it's all virtual instead of in person. So for example, we have an 8 a.m. meeting every morning that we do. And typically we do that in the office around what we call a 5-star board, which just shows all of our current business and who is working on what for the day. So now we're still having that meeting every single morning. It's just done virtually. And then we have our 5-star board on Excel. And then that is shared with the team virtually. So we use Ring Central, which is just like Zoom. So it's pretty much just like this. And we house all of our internal company meetings via Ring Central, so we can stay connected with coworkers that way. We've definitely been trying to do as many of those as video as possible. I know a lot of our leadership is making a push to, make sure that the video is on, just so we're getting as much human interaction as possible and having it be as close to in person as we can make it. And then also prior to COVID, being in the recruiter seat, within our workflow and process, we do meet with candidates in person. So that definitely has changed as well. But again, we're still doing those meetings. They're just virtually over Ring Central as well. But honestly, that's been one of the really great things about recruiting is that, you know, it's definitely been a blessing that a lot of the work as a recruiter can be done remotely. And, you know, a lot of it can be done virtually and with the capabilities of technology that we have. So that's definitely been good. And even to like go off that further, like I transitioned into this government position just before COVID hit. And that was so that I could travel with my husband actually because of his job. So it was kind of coincidental how it all happened. I went into this remote role and then everybody went remote. But, you know, just kind of, again, a good piece to, you know, show that it can be done remotely very easily. So that's definitely been a positive for us for sure. And then also currently for us, it's optional to go into the office or work from home. So just dependent on what people are comfortable with. You can go in if you'd like. If you're not comfortable with that, they are allowing us to work remote as well. Some suggestions that I would have for you guys in times like this. The first thing that I would recommend is just to continue to network virtually, such as this event. So everybody that's on this call is definitely doing a good job of that already. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot more virtual webinars and job fairs. I know Rebecca just mentioned one at the beginning of the call, and I'm sure she's doing a good job of keeping you guys on the loop with that. So I would definitely encourage you guys to keep attending those events. You know, even though they're virtual, it's just as important that you do attend. So that would be one piece. Another thing I would say is definitely try to optimize your online visibility, you know, especially with LinkedIn and any other, you know, websites or profiles that you're using. Can you guys still hear me? My screen changed. Okay, sorry, my screen changed, so I just want to make sure. But with LinkedIn, you know, especially with everything being virtual, it's imperative that your profile really stands out. So I would just suggest adding in additional details, you know, bulking up your LinkedIn, making sure that you have some additional info in there rather than just like job titles, since that is going to be the main thing that employers are seeing in times like this. And then also, outside of that too, I would suggest tailoring your guys' resumes to each job application. That's definitely something that's always very important, but especially in times like this when there are so many candidates in the job market, making sure that, you know, your resume is specifically matching, you know, the job application with anything that you can add or, you know, include in there is definitely something that is super important and would be beneficial. And then finally, the last thing I would suggest is just don't get discouraged. Definitely give yourself some grace in times like this. You know, if you're feeling like you're not making much traction with your job search, just remember these are unknown times for everyone. And so you're definitely not alone. So don't get too down or hard on yourself. But that was really my last piece of advice. That's all I had for you guys. But in case anyone has questions or would like to get in touch, you know, following this event, please feel free to reach out. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I know you can see my name in the little corner right there. So feel free to find me on LinkedIn or my email as well. You guys can reach me at, and that is going to be K and then my last name, Kaiser, which shows right there on my screen, Kaiser at brooksource.com. And that's BROOKSOURCE.com. I know Rebecca showed that on the first screen too, but just in case. Yeah, perfect. There we go. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. And yeah, if any of the employers, if you have contact information for the students, if you could throw that in the chat, that would be awesome. If you have a way for them to reach out to you with questions or any advice that they may need later, even if it's just LinkedIn, you can put LinkedIn and just type what name will pop up for them on LinkedIn. That would be awesome. And students, definitely reach out because it is a trying time for job searching. Like Kelsey mentioned, it's not near as bad as spring. In spring, I looked up a marketing job search in Wichita on LinkedIn. I think 2 jobs came up. So I think that was the worst I saw. It was around April, but getting better now. And like Kelsey mentioned, people that aren't doing anything are going to be the ones that are worse off later. Employers want to see what kind of creative ways you came up with to network and get into those career opportunities. So thank you again, Kelsey. And now I am going to turn it over to Claire from Frito-Lay.
Yeah, hi guys. So like Rebecca said, my name's Claire. I've been working at Frito-Lay since June of 2019. So I graduated from K-State in May 2019. I was involved in a whole bunch of different things in college. I'm not going to bore you with that long list, but yeah. So I got an internship with Frito-Lay PepsiCo as a junior. So like that summer of 2018. And actually, my internship, as Rebecca can probably attest to this, was it was a little trivial at times. So I can relate to what you guys are going through. It was definitely hard for me to even find an internship that even sounded remotely interesting, let alone one that wanted to have me come work for them. But it worked out great to go to PepsiCo. I actually spent this summer in Tucson, Arizona. And that kind of rolls a little bit. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. I'm not going to be as organized as Kelsey, but I would definitely say one of my biggest pieces of advice is don't say no. So I'm from the Kansas area, grew up here, went to K-State, like I said, and my first kind of reaction when they said if they wanted to know if I wanted to go to Tucson was no. But it was obviously a great opportunity, and I turned it into a job offer. So don't say no. And sometimes things that seem like really crazy or really out there, like it just might be a perfect fit. So some of the things that my current organization is like the opportunities, we do tons of internships. So I know we had our internships last summer. We had an intern in the zone that I work in. And the internship obviously looks a lot different than what it looked like when I was going through it, but we're still hiring for interns as far as I know, as well as full-time employees. And you can find those at PepsiCo.com, and I'll put that link in the chat. But also, I'm not sure what the career fair is going to look like this year, but if there's going to be any sort of career fair, we will be there looking for interns or full-time employees, anything like that. So, and I can definitely help steer you guys in that direction if you're wanting to look more into Frito-Lay. So what's different now in Frito-Lay? Truthfully, my job 100% is managing people and selling. So I manage about 14 people, and I go into stores, like big grocery stores, so like Hy-Vee, Dillon's, Walmart, and I sell for extra display. So I'm actually in Manhattan right now. So if you guys shop at Manhattan, the Walmart Manhattan, you guys walk in and you see all those chips, that was me. So my job, I have to be in the stores and I have to be working with people. So my job really hasn't changed too much. The one thing is my boss has like required us to work from home versus an office, which we only did like one day of office work in general. But we do pretty much, I'm out in the market at least 4 days a week, selling or working with a team member or, something like that, trying to develop people. So really hasn't changed for me. We have a lot more Zoom meetings, which has been interesting because we were kind of a bit of a dinosaur in the technology realm, but it's been fun to kind of get to learn Frito-Lay on that side of things as well. So suggestions and actions that students can take to secure their success, I kind of hit on this already, but just say yes. If you would have asked me when I was a freshman or sophomore in college if I was going to work for a food retail business, let alone if I was passionate about chips, both of those answers would have been no. And truthfully, I can be passionate about chips because it's a really great job and it's a fun company to work for. So, Frito-Lay is extremely competitive. As a company, we're always having a competition to win a new Apple Watch, AirPods, like anything like that. So, and when you are like, because I had to go through a training development program. So the training program is about a year, and then you get promoted into your full-time role. And so there was times where I would beat like in my training program, and I'd beat like the full-time employees, like with my sales numbers and stuff. And that felt so good. So, I mean, like there's a lot of things that I never would have thought of that I would have liked about Frito-Lay or PepsiCo, but there's a lot of aspects that I think people overlook sometimes. So company's culture is really important, but like even understanding the aspects of the job that you're going to be performing. So if you're a super competitive person, you like to beat other people, You know, you take a lot of satisfaction in knowing that, like, you know, you took space from somebody else, or you took market share from somebody else, however you want to interpret that. Then, you know, maybe a job like Frito-Lay or another retail sales job would be perfect for you. And I also didn't think I was going to like sales. So, but here I am, like sales, and I coach people. So, and that's been really great too. So I would just definitely say, keep your options open, keep your mind open, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to really surprise you. As well as, just like I said, you need to say yes to any and every opportunity that comes along. And I'll drop my stuff in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. And thank you for bringing up the All University Career Fair. So that is going to be virtual as well through Handshake. And I put the link to the information from the Career Center in the chat, so you can check that out. And it is going to be September 21st to the 24th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's virtual. So in the past, where like if it was 3 days, you may have had to get dressed up all 3 of those days and hike your way or take an AutoBus to Bramlage. You don't have to do that this year. It's going to be way easier. You just got to jump online and sign up for the sessions. And I definitely recommend you do that. The Career Center is also doing some little individual career chats. I can't remember what they're called. I'll try to find it when Chase is up next for Hormel. And those are also little networking sessions the Career Center is putting on that the larger companies are. I think Pepsi Frito-Lay is doing one, but I don't remember. So get in there and start networking with those people. I know Google has some information sessions in there. So some really awesome opportunities to network with some different companies. So thank you, Claire. And again, reach out to them. Claire did a wonderful job with Frito-Lay and got a really good job offer. And like she said, did not know that sales was what she wanted to do, but she obviously does really well at it. So good job, Claire. And if you have questions for her, reach out. And I will turn it over to Chase and let him talk to all of you about himself and Hormel.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Chase Stalder. I graduated from K-State in fall of 2019, so pretty fresh out. I got a dual degree in marketing and sales, and then after graduation, I took a full-time position in sales with Hormel Foods down in our Bentonville, Arkansas office. So I sell into the accounts of Walmart, Sam's Club, and Amazon. So kind of to go off what Claire said, you know, when I looked at Hormel Foods, I didn't think food was my thing either. But I just said yes. I knew it was a great company. So I would echo her in saying some advice is just don't be afraid to kind of go out on a limb and take a shot at something, especially with internships. They're just such a great opportunity where you're not making a final decision, but you're really getting a chance to kind of interview a company for 3 months. And to kind of lean in on that, on the Hormel side, we are looking for both marketing and sales internships. And on the full-time side, we're looking for sales individuals. So our companies, we're a hire from within as well. So if you want to get into the marketing side, most of you would start in sales and then break off into marketing. If that's something you would choose to do. Another piece of advice I'd give you is kind of what Kelsey mentioned, you know, utilize LinkedIn. It's a really powerful tool, and utilize people on there just to, if you're kind of thinking about maybe getting into marketing or sales, you're not sure, just reach out to people and ask for, 15 or 20 minutes. I know when I came into K-State, I thought I was going to be in finance. And then I talked to a couple of people that worked in finance and found out pretty quick wasn't going to be in finance. So, and that's really what directed me into sales, is just talking to people that were already in the field, have figured out what they do on a daily basis. And that really clicked with me. So I had success doing that. I know others have as well. And I think you'll find that most people will give you 15, 20, 30 minutes of their time just to talk with you. Things that have changed on our end, we've been working from home for a long time now. So on the sales side, that's definitely different. As Claire and Kelsey both mentioned, you don't meet with customers face-to-face anymore. But the challenges that came our way are the same challenges that came to our customers. They were so used to meet with us face-to-face. So a lot of Teams meetings. We use Teams, not Zoom, but you just got to get creative. We have gotten creative, but you also have to be able to adapt to not only your customer, but your customer's customers. And we saw a lot of shifts with them of this is one of the first times you think of that the customer was almost forced to shift. Stores were closed. They only had pickup options. So be able to adapt with that. But yeah, if you guys want to find out any more information on Hormel Foods careers, you can go to hormelfoods.com/careers. I'll also drop my contact information in the chat as well. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions. And I do know we'll be at the career fair. The sales career fair, I believe, is next week on the 17th. So we'll be there as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Chase. And I will get the sales career fair information in the chat as well. I totally forgot to mention that to all of you. So I think really important from Claire and Chase was don't say no, and you may end up working. I think even Kelsey probably did not assume she would be in the role that she's in now either. I also, when I graduated with my marketing degree, never thought I would go work for Panda Express, but had a really great 11-year career there, and learned and grew a lot, and ended up coming back home to K-State, but had a really great time and met a lot of really awesome people working there. So now I am going to turn it over to Jael with IBM, and I will let her introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she does.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Jael Whitney. I graduated in May of 2018 with a degree in marketing with a focus in marketing analytics and then the minor in economics. And I now live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I work at IBM. And so that journey for me looked like getting very involved early on in undergrad with a lot of different types of organizations. And one of those was the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. And I ended up through K-State getting to travel to their national conference and networking with IBM at that conference. And then that was how I got that position. And so from like a career advice perspective, since we're not really able to do that kind of travel right now, there is still opportunity to get involved with organizations signing up online. Usually they have some kind of student discount, and a lot of them do offer virtual career fairs. So that's kind of an unorthodox way to start talking to companies too, and just get yourself out there more and more exposed to different types of opportunities. So that's something I'd really recommend trying out. And as far as what IBM does, we are a Fortune 50 company. We work in every aspect of technology, from hardware to software to consulting. I currently work as a business development leader in our AI application space, specifically facilities management. So that's really important right now with COVID, because a lot of companies are trying to figure out, how do we even use our buildings right now? Can we use our buildings right now? How do we make sure that they're being socially distanced? So that's been a really cool use case for me. But how I got into IBM was through the Summit Rotational Program, which is a 2-year program where you go through 6 months of sales school and then a couple of different rotations in different parts of the sales organization. And then, like some of the other people here tonight talked about, it's kind of an internal hiring process. So some people end up in field sales, some people end up in marketing. And then I found a really good niche in business development, which is sort of a hybrid between marketing and sales. And so from a COVID perspective, normally we would be doing a lot of traveling, but now I'm working more on doing webinars online. And like Kelsey, I was also remote prior to COVID. So I think that there is an opportunity for that potentially, to work from home, work around the world. Those are things that are definitely possibilities. So as far as what I do on a daily basis, I am really fortunate to be in the enterprise technology space. So we get to work with really cool clients. I've worked recently with NASA and Ford, the Smithsonian, just to name a couple. And really, it's mostly about developing relationships and kind of communicating what we're doing at IBM and how we're helping our clients solve our problems and how we might be able to help them solve problems. So it's really more of that consultative selling approach and having value add conversations. So from a perspective of things that you can do now, like I mentioned before, just getting involved in whatever ways you can, whether it's attending events like this or looking and seeing if there are clubs that are doing activities, or potentially hosting their own networking sessions, anything like that that you're able to attend. I think the two biggest things are, first, to stay curious and kind of follow your instincts. So I took a little bit of a different path where I had a job offer in Kansas City, and I was interviewing with IBM still, and I was like, I have this like safe offer that they're pretty much telling me I need to take it this week, but I really want to keep interviewing with IBM. I have a good feeling about it, so I'm gonna turn that down. And I did end up making like several, like I think about 20 grand more with the IBM offer. So sometimes it is okay to say no if your gut is telling you no, but that's definitely something like a skill to develop with like smaller decisions first, I think. And the other thing I would say is to figure out what will make you memorable. So that might be getting involved in a club that's a little bit outside of the normal business interests, or it might be your volunteer work, it might be your creative side projects. I think those things are really also very important, especially when you get into that interview process or when you're networking, to kind of make you stand out in the mind of the recruiter and make you somebody that they're like, oh, you know, I want to keep talking to that person. Those are the two things that I would point out. So I'll put my contact information in the chat, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am happy to set up time to talk through your career goals and any advice you might want, or more information on the summit program.
Awesome. Thank you, Jael. And I think she makes a very good point of standing out. We definitely recommend, especially if you're getting into a more competitive industry like sports, or trying to work for maybe one of the more popular companies, that differentiating yourself is one of the most important things that you can do. So when the recruiter is looking at 500 resumes, you're standing out against those other 499. And how do you do that? Do things like what they've been talking about. Get involved. And make sure that you get in clubs and do extracurricular activities while you're in school. So thank you, Jael. That was awesome. And now we're going to move on to JNT, and they've got a couple of reps on here. So I will let Bill start if he wants to, or if he wants Levi to start, however you guys want to do it. Totally up to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Hope you guys can hear me. I will throw, I don't know if we're able to share our screens, but if we are really quick, I would just say the quickest and best resource you'll find us at is jntcompany.com/empower. To tell you a little bit about JNT, we're coming up, I believe in January, we'll turn 12. I've been a partner there for 6 years, going on 7. I'll let Levi kind of introduce himself. He's our digital marketing strategist, and he's been there 3 years now. So to give you a little backstory on J&T, we're local. I'm a Manhattanite, born and raised. So I graduated in 07, finance degree from College of Business, and went and worked for GTM, which is now Champion, for a good couple years. So I got to do make some good relationships, really cut my teeth in sales, and then partnered over at J&T. J&T is technically a marketing company, but we originated as a full service web integration company. So at the heart of our services, we're technically software, but we've really expanded, especially in the digital ads component over the last couple of years. And then from a marketing standpoint, we service clients from large retainer through many different verticals, all the way down to small business solutions. I'll kick it to Levi here in a second, but I do want to tell you a little bit about what Empower is. We just finished our 5th summer of doing it. It was probably by far the most challenging one with COVID. We did have that little surge in June that caused us all to rush down to K-Stat and get our testing done on a day. So it was unique to say the least. The disappointing part, I would say, is that we had to cut short some of the event stuff that we usually get to do. We usually get to go tour, take a Kansas City day and go up and, tour Sporting KC, do a beer tour up there. One of our partners is the marketing director for KC Beer Co. So it's like we cut down on some of that stuff, but at the heart of it, we still had a really good time, with the 4 week. It's normally 5 weeks. This year we cut it to 4. I would say probably the best part about Empower is that it's something local that you guys as marketing students can get involved with. It's based off of team projects where you get to really own that relationship with the client, and get to build out some marketing tools for them, everything from website to rebrands, We've worked with local restaurants. A couple of years ago, we had like Little Apple Brewing Company, kind of rebranded them. This year, we had a couple really cool sponsors that we were able to work with. One was a family farm that also had this Cruise the Blues bike event, which, had a lot of curveballs this year with, COVID. And then we kind of service different types of businesses. Really the point of that is so that students can get in here and really kind of cut their teeth on working with another business to learn what that's like. Our goal with it has always been to prepare students to either one, come and do more client work for us, or prepare them kind of to go out into the workforce. And I know, kind of jumping out of order here, one of the things that always stands out to me is when I'm interviewing someone and they have an application story with a real client, whether it was a win or a loss, you're definitely going to have my engagement a lot higher if I know you're talking about real client work. And we know that's hard as students, because a lot of times the learning process happens in a vacuum scenario just so that it can happen. And so what we really try and do is apply some of that, some of the things you'd be learning at K-State, and then bring that over into, a real world situation. I'll kick it to Levi. He'll tell you a little bit about kind of our digital ads team, because I think that's where we're seeing a lot of growth specifically from K-State students in the recruitment there.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So my name's Levi Bailey. I graduated K-State marketing department in December 2017, I think. So I've been working for J&T for close to 3 years now, and have kind of been, I wanted to work in Manhattan, wanted to stay local, and my wife had already got a job here, so I wanted to keep us here, and also wanted to work for a marketing agency, getting to work with a lot of different companies, but I didn't want to work for a bigger organization, wanted to work for a small business. And that really gave me a lot of opportunities to grow different skills that I have, but then also to kind of practice some intrapreneurship, not entrepreneurship, but intrapreneurship. And so I started the digital ads service with J&T, and it's been growing quite a bit since then, a couple of years ago. And I think that especially during this time when I guess businesses are just forced to realize with tight budgets that a lot of the digital platforms are cheaper and more effective than some of the traditional ones. And also that more people are spending more time on those platforms. So I think that's kind of number or two reasons why our digital ads services are taking off, and why people are why business owners are latching onto that. But we've really been able to grow the team for that through the Empower program, and it's just been awesome to meet students who aren't too much younger than myself, but get to see the different things that they're learning through K-State and how that applies to different businesses. And so yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say a couple more words, because I think a lot of the advice you've been getting, is pretty on point. And, I think there's a lot to be said about this year, what ups and downs, and, time's not standing still for anyone. So there's plenty of opportunity to be doing something, and that could be anything. It could be working with your friends on building something that maybe you do it a year or two from now when the time's right. But I think there's still plenty of opportunities to get out there and do client work, whether that's finding areas, working with like a local company like ourselves and trying to see where you could get involved. The nice thing about our internship program is that it's a pretty comfortable place for students to walk in the door to begin with, because chances are you're going to see one of your friendly classmates already there, or somebody that strikes you as someone you've probably seen on campus when when we used to flock to campuses. So I do challenge that if there's something you're interested in, that whether it's J&T or one of these other local creative agencies, that you just are kind of bold and saying like, hey, if there'd be an opportunity for me to even shadow, a video shoot or whatever the thing would be, or is, hey, would you be interested in reading something I've written? There's so many little aspects that creative companies are looking for. There's those opportunities that I feel like are wide open if someone has the talent. And at J&T, that's one thing that we're really looking for, is people that can teach us stuff while we show them kind of the ropes. It's definitely a mentorship that works back and forth. So success in the future to me just looks like versatility and the ability to find your passion no matter the situation you're in, because the day you wake up, if you're excited for whatever you're going to go do that, right? That can be as simple as walking your dog, or maybe it's something a lot more advanced than that, and it's leading towards your future and your career. But I think a lot of people right now are kind of stuck. So I would just say, latch onto something that's at least entertaining you. Find something for it that's at least worth discussing with others of where that might be going. For all you know, you might be latching on to a really cool idea that at some point you might build into a business, or if nothing else, it's a creative way of kind of getting your day going. The last plug I will throw out there too is that we have a pitch competition coming up called Startup MHK. I'll throw the link in here too. That way, if any of you students are involved in any sort of entrepreneurship class, or you have kind of some ideas that you would love to really get in front of some really high level judges in this area and throw around, that's another great way just to kind of plug in right away, get embedded into a community where, if nothing else, you get to meet some great people, but hopefully you get some cool tools to learn. I think that's where a lot of the future is made, is just through those connections. So I'll throw that in there, and I'll kick it back to you, Rebecca. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. And Bill does have an excellent opportunity for students here locally in Manhattan that want to get some experience. And every student that I have had go through the program, including Levi, who's still there, give the program rave reviews. So definitely something you would want to look into if you're looking to stay in the Manhattan area. Also, Bill, if you can shoot me any information or graphics that you have on that pitch competition, I'd be more than happy to share that with the College of Business if you just want to email it to me. Because those are real good opportunities that we're looking for the students as well, since there's limited capacity.
Yeah, and I'll throw out that this year we had to pivot, and it's virtual. It's in the past 3 years, it's all been in person. There's some good money on the line too. I know that's always, I forgot to dangle the carrot. Like you can win. I think People's Choice takes somewhere around 4,000 to 6,000, and then we've broken up the divisions between 8,000 to 10,000, where we have kind of a general and then a tech competition. So there's money to be had out there if you have a good idea. The nice thing about this year too is we're basically having submissions to see if you make the finals. So even though it can't be edited, you could do it multiple times. So I will certainly send that stuff to Rebecca and have that shared out, because we would love to see more innovative. Probably the most honest thing I can say is the future big business that's going to happen here locally, and I believe this is someone who's going to stay around here, is going to happen through someone who's college age that decides to build their business and bring it here, and then connects with the right people as far as on, just the different components of it, everything from, maybe it's a warehouse or a financial component. But I really would love to find someone like that. That's what this competition is all about. So I'll get more information out on that.
Awesome. Thank you. So he's got that put out in the chat. If any of you are interested in winning a pretty significant amount of money, I would definitely look into that. Always good to have extra money around. And we are going to move now to rover.com, and I am going to let Phil introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he does and the company.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for having me. Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. So I graduated from K-State back in 2015, and it was with a degree in marketing, minor in leadership. I'm originally from Kansas City, but now I live out here in Seattle, and I work at Rover, like Rebecca said. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Rover, it's a late stage startup. It's an online marketplace where we connect pet owners with pet sitters. So say you're going on a trip and you need somebody to watch your dog, you can look online as if you're looking for an Airbnb and find a dog sitter for your dog, leave them with them, go on your vacation, and your pet has a vacation too. So I am the international CRM manager, and I've been at Rover for 3 years now. That's not the position I started in. I started in an entry-level position where I was an email specialist, where I was building emails, and I worked up to that point over the 3 years. So when I graduated, I didn't have a job right away. So just a little background on like what happened after graduation. I really wanted to move to Seattle essentially. And so I was like, nothing's holding me back. So I just did. And I needed to find a place to live. I needed to find a job, and I needed to find some people so I can actually have some fun out here as well. And then I found a job at Pike Place Market where I was selling pasta. And at that same time, I was like working a little bit in our startup community out here, doing a little freelance marketing just to get my feet wet and bring in some income while I like found that like office job that I was looking for initially. So eventually I found a contract position on the retail team at Zulily, which was a flash sale site. And so I was doing that, and that's kind of equivalent to like that sales role that like everyone talks about starting in before you get into marketing. So I did that for about a year and then moved into their marketing program where I managed their daily email. And that was wild because I was sending 20 million emails to people each day, and it was like bringing in $5 million. So a lot of pressure. But that wasn't necessarily the challenging marketing role, the strategy and stuff I was interested in. So I transitioned to another role at Rover after I was referred by a friend, where still in email marketing. And like, if you would have told me I was going to be in email marketing at my senior year, I probably would have told you, no, that emails are boring and no one's going to open email. But here I am 5 years later, still in email and loving it, honestly. So I grew in that role of the entry level and got more into the strategy side of things, and have recently taken a job like right as the pandemic was hitting for an international role that was supposed to let me travel, but not yet. So I manage 9 countries, their marketing strategy for all the countries that are outside of the United States. So we're in Canada, UK, Spain, France, Italy, Norway, Netherlands, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of those, I don't speak all those languages, but it's been a really fun challenge in like getting them started up and going. And it's had plenty of challenges with the pandemic as well. So a little bit more about Rover. I already explained that as a late stage startup, but like we have a really good culture, and that's like something that really makes Rover Rover. We're full of really talented people that also really care about each other. And it doesn't matter if you're in the C-suite or an entry-level person that's recently out of college, you guys can have a conversation, no matter the gap in hierarchy or anything like that. You can lead a meeting and be the expert, and that's very respected there. Then one of the fun things that made our office really cool when we're in the office was that most of us brought our dogs to the office. So we just had like a bunch of dogs and like our pods and everything. Like my pod had like 6 dogs running around at like most times. And it can be really distracting and everything, but it's also like just a really calming work environment to have your dog there with you. And that's also why I'm wearing this shirt that's covered in dogs as well. So we're also a tech company first, but we're also like tied to the travel industry. And so when you think of the travel industry right now, you think of it getting hit hard by the pandemic with the lack of travel happening. And so that hit us as well. And so that impacted us in several ways of like affecting our workforce. And we had to do what a lot of travel companies did, which is let a lot of people go in order for us to survive. And that was just like really rough. It was like a rough day of like watching all those people leave. But the team has been like very transparent and like letting us know like why and like how we're going to get through all this and not just survive, but hopefully thrive after this. So that's been really good. our HR team has been very receptive in like listening to our needs and surveying us and like what we need to see like how they can support us through all these times. So they've given us like $500 stipends to like outfit our office to make us comfortable working from home since we'll be in this position for a while. They've also given us like bonuses since we're not like eating the snacks that were in the office and like paying for upgraded internet and whatnot. So they've been really supportive and like making those adjustments through the pandemic while we work from home for the foreseeable future, and giving us like updates regularly on that. And so other things were, oh, the positions that are open. So like I said, we let a lot of people go, so there's not a lot of positions actually available right now, but there are actually a couple on my team. One is more along the lines of the first job that I had, which was at Zilli, and like retail and like supporting our store team and getting products on there, setting up our sales there, and finding new vendors to work with. The other role is on my team. It's a marketing specialist role, which is where I started in making our email campaigns and working with the strategists to make those come to life and get sent out to everyone. Those are both like entry level, a good way to get your chops and like kind of like get exposed to different roles in the org as well, to see if you want to go more into the strategy side or more into a like data-driven, analytics-focused role, so you can find your interest essentially over time. And then I think the other thing was like advice that I have. My biggest advice that I have is get a mentor. So throughout my 4 years at K-State, I had a mentor, and I had the same one for 3 years while I was there, Dr. Swilly. I hope you have her as a teacher sometime. She's awesome. So whether it be a professor, an alumni like one of us, or someone just in the field that you're interested in, get connected with them. Have a coffee chat, reach out to them on LinkedIn. I did that when I was looking for jobs out here in Seattle, just like reaching out to previous alumni and having chats with them and getting connected and doing informational meetings. And then also, if you have a dream that's like kind of unconventional, go for it. It's probably gonna be harder than like taking one that's like templatized and everything. But like I said, like it wasn't easy like moving out here and just like not having a job to start out with. But I had a dream. I worked till I got into marketing, and while it's hard, it's definitely rewarding. Also, everything else that everyone else said, I totally second that, and you should do those things as well. If you have other questions, I dropped my information in the chat as well, and I'm happy to reach out to you. I'm not famous, so I won't ignore you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Phil, I do have one question. You mentioned several countries that are using Rover.com. Does the company have international locations that people work at as well?
We have 3 offices as of now. One is in Seattle, one's in Spokane, and then the other one is in Barcelona, which is the one I should get to travel to soon.
Right. So excellent opportunities. You may not have thought about, you know, companies like Rover.com in the past, but if you look at that opportunity now where maybe, you know, I've had students that want to move to Spain or want to move to Mexico or Brazil and work, and finding a company that has that opportunity and networking and getting into those companies is a really great idea if that's what your dream is. And I think something else Phil mentioned was that he was referred by a friend to Rover. So one thing I always tell students is that if you know somebody that works in a company, or one of your friends' dads is a CEO or a CFO or a director or whatever it is, and any of the organizations, by all means use that. Don't feel bad for using that resource, because that is one of the most awesome ways to get into companies that you're trying to get into. So make sure you use all of the resources that you have available to you. So thank you, Phil, for sharing that. That was awesome. And his information is already out there, so if you have questions for him, you can reach out. And we will now move on to the final company, Textron, and hear from Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Merrily. I do trade shows and events at Textron Aviation. So this year has definitely been really interesting with everything getting canceled due to COVID. But I'm going to try and share my screen. Our company uses Microsoft Teams, so this is all new to me.
It should work.
Okay. Can you guys see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So Textron is our parent company, and underneath Textron, there's a lot of different brands. So I work for Textron Aviation, and I'm based out in Wichita, Kansas. So just 2 short hours away from Toccolucha. But we also have Bell in Fort Worth, Texas, and then Textron Specialized Vehicles is another big one, and they're down in Georgia. So kind of going back to that, US locations, these are all the states where you could potentially work. I think I looked online today and there's 19, I think, marketing specific positions available across all of our business units. So definitely opportunities are available for internships or entry-level positions. In regards to Textron Aviation specific, this is our current product lineup. So we range from pistons to jets. And it was kind of interesting this year when I was talking with the marketing team, the focus was going to be on like our citation longitude and our citation latitude, which came out within the past 5 years. So these are our newest, bestest product. So that was going to be the focus for 2020. But with COVID, we kind of realized that our sales were more in our M2, our CJ3 Plus, and our CJ4, which are kind of our light size jets. Which kind of thinking about it, it's easier for like an owner to purchase a $5 million aircraft rather than a company purchasing like a Longitude, which could be around like $36 million. So our marketing strategy has kind of changed this year, and instead of focusing on like our new products that were recently developed, we're kind of going back and focusing on kind of our older product, our lighter size jets, so like the M2, 3 Plus, and CJ4. In regards to company culture, this is something that's been a big focus for 2020. Our motto is one team winning together. And I think our company has really been focusing on like humanizing our business. So recently they came out with Dress for Your Day. So usually in our business, it'd be business, professional, business casual. But now I can show up to work in jeans and like a nice blouse. So we're kind of going more casual. Also, we're implementing more like flexible work schedules as well. So for me, I work 80 hours in 9 days. So I get every other Friday off. So it's just nice that on a Friday off, like last Friday, I was at the pool. So, and then something really cool that's happening is we're going through a rebranding right now. So usually you're used to the Textron Aviation lockup logo, which is Beechcraft, Cessna, and Hawker brands. We're kind of dropping off the Hawker and just focusing on the Cessna and the Beechcraft. So this is kind of our strategy moving forward, is just to focus on Cessna and Beechcraft because those are the brands we're still investing in, still creating new product around. So it's just really cool to see our company continue to be innovative, even during times where it's kind of turbulent in regards to COVID. And then I kind of wanted to share this as well. So recently, this was all during COVID as well, we launched a Sky campaign. So this goes back to, again, our values of humanizing the business. And I actually want to see if I can share a quick video. So.
Sarah, just make sure there's one thing when you do share screen, make sure you click the box for share audio.
Okay, if you don't do that, it says share computer sound, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll see if this works.
When we look up, we don't see the sky that was there yesterday. No, when we look up, we see a sky we've never seen before. Scrubbed clean by the night and filled with the promise of a new day. A sky that calls us to find new ways to get to new places. And new dreams to inspire us when we get there. Horizons were made to be crossed, and whole new worlds are waiting. Yes, when we look up, we see a very different sky. A different sky awaits.
So that was just a quick video that I wanted to share. I just think it's really just something that like you as marketers can be aware of when you go in and interview for a company. If you know something about like, oh, Textron Aviation just launched this Sky campaign, or they're going through a rebranding, just talking that through with the recruiter can definitely set yourself apart, just that you have that awareness or you have some idea of what the product is and can speak to it. I think that would really set you apart in any internship or in any interview. And then just quick, I wanted to go through how to apply. So it's super nice, easy, and simple. You can just go to textron.com/careers and click on Find a Career. And then you have the opportunity to kind of filter it down based on what state you want to live in, job type in regards to internship, co-ops, or a full-time position. And then all functions would be like sales, marketing, finance, IT. And then once you filter through, it'll show a list of jobs available. And I think I checked this morning, like I said earlier, and there were 19 jobs available throughout the different business units, and you just click Apply Now. So super nice and simple. And then if you want to reach out to me, like I'm more than willing to help you in any way possible. I was in your position a year ago. I graduated in May of 2019. So I'm always willing to help. I want you all to succeed. Like a couple other people were saying earlier, I never once thought I'd be in the aviation business. So what I would say is like, continue to be open to anything. I started, my first internship was in aftermarket sales. Did not want to be in sales whatsoever, but that kind of got me to the trade show and event side for an internship, and then got me a full-time offer. So that's all I have to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And I think a couple of things that Sarah mentioned. So the internship leading to full-time position, I think we heard that from several people. That is really important. So, you know, if you do really well in the internship, there's a high chance they're going to hire you on as a full-time employee. Phil also mentioned earlier about executive mentor. I don't want to miss that. I put in the chat Wendy Pfeiffer's email address. If you are interested in getting a mentor through K-State, we have a platform called Wildcat Link. It's kind of like Facebook, but it's for mentors. So we've got a whole bunch of alumni from K-State and a few people that aren't alumni but just want to help K-Staters that you can get as a mentor. And last, I'm gonna kind of put Chase on the spot, sorry. He used to be the recruiter for PSE, and that is our marketing club, and we've talked a lot about getting involved, and I have not put up any information about that, but I will. Chase, do you want to talk a little bit about your involvement with PSE and what they did?
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of things. We had companies come in and speak just about marketing and different projects that they needed help with. But it was I believe, the first kind of organization I got involved with. And I learned a lot because there were a lot of upperclassmen that were in it that taught me a lot of things. And so I would definitely advise anybody that's looking to get involved. That's a good one to go after.
So he was able to add that to his resume, and not just as like being in the club, but Chase did recruitment for them. And how many people did you recruit that one semester?
Oh, have to go look at the resume. For sure.
It was a large number. So PSE I think they had struggled a little bit in the past, and Chase did a lot of recruitment efforts. And when employers see those things on a resume, that, you know, you not only took the recruitment job, but you didn't just sit there and like do what everyone else did. You did something creative and actually created some results. Those are the things that employers want to see. And I threw out the link to the PSE website on the K-State page, and that's got information about who you can contact to get into the, because I'm pretty sure they're all meeting virtually this semester as well. So you can get information about how to join that and how often they meet and when they meet. So for those of you on the call, students, if you want to throw out any questions that you may have for anyone, we've got one question in there now that is, what advice would you give a non-traditional student that is about to graduate with a marketing degree, that wants to break into the marketing areas and has already been full-time in a corporate workforce for 20 years, but had not done any work in marketing before? So what, he's asking, does he need to do an internship, or will companies value his work history from his past experience? So does anyone have any input? He said any company can answer that. So anything you all have seen out there?
I've got one thing that I can add there.
Okay.
What, like, our team had like an entry-level role available, and we actually had, it's the same one that we actually have available right now, the email specialist role. And we actually ended up hiring a guy that had been probably in the workforce for probably like 20 years or so. But what I would say is, like, with that 20 years of experience, even if it's not marketing experience, is there's always like transferable skills that are like at your disposal. So I would say, like, I think you can go for an entry-level position and focus on like what you can bring to the team as those transferable skills, and like just your willingness to learn about marketing and honing your skills there, and just to get like your foot in the door and get started in that career path.
Thank you, Phil. I would echo what Phil said as well. There's a lot of transferable skills. I would also say it's probably going to be pretty hard to become like a director or vice president level as entry level into the company, just because of knowing what, maybe if you were still in the same company that you had worked in before, it would be easier to move just because of the experience you had with the culture and the people within that organization. But I would say internship, if you have time to do one during your school year or in the summer between your programming, I would do that. The other thing I would say is you could probably get one that requires, 3 to 5, 5 to 7 years of experience and build up through that. But I think that just is going to take, who mentioned customizing your resume? Raise your hand. Which one of you was that? Somebody said, oh, Kelsey. So, okay. So customizing, go look for the keywords that they're looking for. So if they're looking for people that are detail oriented, make sure when you write your resume, you point out how you were detail oriented or, had great communication skills throughout that. JNT, we have one for you as well. And Bill or Levi, whichever one of you wants to answer, it says, what skills do you look for when picking your Empower interns? And when will the application process begin for 2021?
Application process usually begins anytime, but we really crack down right there in the early part of spring. So January, February. Interviews usually happen right after spring break. We found it's, and in the past, it's a little easier to let people kind of get that out of their system and then come back with the urgency of knowing they need to do something with their summer. So you can apply anytime. As far as skills, all the talent, just, I would say you don't have to have everything figured out. If you have a certain passion for a skill that you're trying to develop, that helps, because we could certainly pair you with people on our team to try and help that along. One of the nice things about Empower is that we have built it out so that our current interns that went through it this last summer will help do the recruitment and do the interview process. So that's helped us because it lets our talent find the next level of talent. Because I could look through resumes all day. Chances are you guys know each other better because you're, in the classroom counting on each other to do stuff. So that methodology I've shared with a lot of corporations, because I feel like, you know, there's a difference between hiring from within and allowing your own talent to recruit the next level of talent. And it's worked well for us as far as for the Empower internship. So if you have any interest at all, just give it a go. Worst case scenario, you get a good interview under your belt, and we'll be dead honest with you. No, we won't break any hearts. Like it's all for growth. So yeah, give it a shot if you're interested.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. And so the next question is about diversity. So I will kind of go down the line in the order that we did in the beginning. So Kelsey, if you want to talk a little bit about how Brooksource works with diversity and advocates for diversity, and then we'll move on to Claire.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, and especially too with, you know, everything that's been going on, there's been an even bigger push for diversity, but our company has done a few different things even prior to this. I know I mentioned one of our service offerings is workforce transformation. One of them is just working with associate levels, so that I know that's not too much diversity, but then we also have a Project Patriot program, which helps transition veterans into the workforce. So that's one really cool thing. I know a lot of our clients are really big on that program. So that's one thing that we do. And so with that, I have actually even traveled out to one of the Army bases that's out near Nashville. And then there we do kind of, I guess it's almost a little bit like a job fair. We've actually done a few different things with them. One being like a job fair, and then one also being just, you know, speaking with classes and helping them with, you know, any questions they have transitioning into the workforce. And obviously with them, they have a lot of kind of like what we were talking about, transferable skills from the Army. So we really help coach them up on, you know, how they can take those skills and transition them into civilian life. So those are like the two biggest things for my company that stick out. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. Claire, you're up. And then after
Yeah.
Chase.
So with Frito-Lay / PepsiCo, we have a lot of sorry, my dog's trying to jump up on my lap. We have a lot of really cool different groups that you can be a part of. So I'm a part of Mosaic, and I'm not going to remember, they're all in acronyms. I'm not going to remember exactly what they stand for, but it's a bunch of like different groups. So we have one that's Mosaic, and it's about supporting women of color in our workforce. We have one, it's called Women, it's called WIN, and it's like Women in Networking. We have another one, and it's Adelante, and it's like people of Hispanic or Latino or Latina descent who are working in PepsiCo Frito-Lay. And we have several others I can't even list, but we have about 12 of them. We have ones that support veterans and things like that. So we do have a lot of different groups, and we always are having like fundraisers, and we have a call at least once a quarter for all the different groups, so we can kind of talk about some different things that are going on in the world, what that means for you know, our coworkers, and how can we support our coworkers, our employees, and things like that, and just you know, how to be sensitive during this time, and just have an open conversation and things like that. So and I didn't realize that Frito-Lay and PepsiCo had all those really cool programs. So it was definitely something that I found out as an intern, and I got able to be involved, and it was just, you know, a really easy conversation. And everyone that I know of that I work with and I worked with as an intern, they're at least a part of like 2 or 3 different groups.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. Chase, and then after Chase, we'll go with Jael.
Awesome. Yeah, to kind of echo Claire, Hormel Foods we have a lot of, we call them employee resource groups. And it was something that I wasn't really familiar with till I got involved as an intern. But basically, they're kind of like organizations within our big organization. A couple, for example, is we have HARG, which is Hormel African American Resource Group. We have HPROW, which is the Hormel Foods LGBTQ plus community. And what's really cool about these resource groups is they all get sponsored, and the sponsors are normally officers within our company, so our very high up employees, and they're always looking to adapt and improve our diversity inclusion within Hormel. So there's all types of different stuff that's in projects that go on within these groups, and it's pretty cool to get involved and be a part of, and kind of watch a big company have an even bigger purpose. So
awesome. Thank you, Chase. Jael?
It definitely resonates for IBM as well. We have business resource groups covering pretty much every aspect of diversity, from like neurodiversity, gender diversity, racial diversity. I'm on our Native American Council at the corporate level. I'm also in like a local chapter of Women in Technical Sales. And so that's been a really cool opportunity for me to kind of get to network with people that are higher up in the company and find working opportunities and mentoring opportunities that way. So I definitely recommend it if you start to work at a company that has those resources available, that you take advantage of them.
Thank you, Jael. Levi, you want to speak for J&T?
Sure. I mean, being a smaller company, we don't have a lot of formal groups or organizations. It would probably be, a one-person committee, but we definitely work to connect our employees and help each other out with partnerships and connecting with resources. And that's definitely something that we, as well, working with clients, like in different fields of advertising, we've had to work to expand, I guess, our capabilities in terms of who we can serve and make sure that we are, an open door to all clients. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Levi. Phil?
Let's see, at Rover, I think like late last year, earlier this year, we started like a diversity, equity, and inclusion like committee, and it had like a couple of execs on it and a couple of people throughout the organization in it, from entry level all the way up. And they have recently started like doing like more active stuff after they've got their like ducks in a row and everything. And so we've been having these round tables that are covering different topics such as like race, gender, sexuality, like all those things. And they're like little groups of like 5 to 8 people, just like talking about those things and like kind of like getting like more of an understanding and like understanding other people's experiences and like talking about it, like those different topics and what they are and like what they mean in Rover and outside of Rover. So that's been good. And then they've got like several other initiatives that they're trying to work on over time. And we're also hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion like head. So Rover's putting more of a focus on that, especially in the light of like all the recent stuff with racial injustice going on right now. But yeah, that's diversity at Rover.
Thank you, Phil. Sarah?
So yeah, I think diversity at Textron Aviation kind of goes back to the values that I showed in my PowerPoint. The one specifically says be human is one of our core values, and just how to manage diversity. Similar to Hormel and other companies, we do employee resource groups as well. And we also have a Yammer page, which is where people can like talk to one another online. And I was just looking at the page earlier today, and it was really neat just to see how many videos are posted each week, and then the discussion about the video and just things like microaggressions that those videos make you aware of and how to manage that. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. All right, we've got one more question from someone about graduating with a secondary education degree and becoming a certified teacher. And after student teaching, fell in love with the idea of marketing and a career in marketing, and is wondering, as far as like resume advice, should he leave his experience and efforts towards, oh, I'm sorry, not resume advice. Should I leave my experience and efforts towards my education career path on my resume, or should I focus in on marketing exclusively? So oh, go ahead, Claire.
Yeah, sorry, not to interrupt, Rebecca. So one of the big parts of my job is not necessarily marketing, but it is, I manage a team of 14 individuals, and they all happen to be men, and they're all in like their mid 50s or early 60s. So like as a 23-year-old woman, there's obviously a lot of challenges with that. But one of the things is when I was going through my training program, I actually was like a weekend, and I was having a really difficult management crisis at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't get any of my boss's answers. So I actually called my mom because I knew she would be up, and my mom's a teacher. And my mom's like, oh, this is exactly how I'd handle this in the classroom. And I did it. And my mom's advice worked, and I do it all the time now. And so I would definitely say, like, in terms of managing, people, like that experience is just so invaluable. And just even in sales, like there are so many different things, like just having that education background that just shows you really want to learn and that you want to develop other people. So I think that opens you up to so many different experiences. So I would definitely leave it on there, because you can speak to how important furthering education is, or how you can develop others around you, just because of your background. And so, you know, like we were talking about earlier, there's different facets to everyone's background that's so important. And like that is definitely one that I think is just absolutely incredible. So definitely keep that on your resume, and definitely I would make that a highlight of something that you would speak about in interviews.
Thank you, Claire. Very good. Very good. Thank you. That's awesome. You reach out to your mom. I reach out to my mom a lot for advice too. Okay, we have one more question. I am a freshman coming in with a sophomore standing. Is it too soon to get an internship for this coming summer?
I would say no. My first internship was the summer going into my junior year. So if you're at sophomore standing already and you think you'll graduate in 3 years, I don't think it's too late at all, or too soon. I definitely would say put yourself out there, put your resume out there, start networking. It might not be the position you necessarily want. Like I was saying earlier, mine was aftermarket sales, and that's not necessarily where I wanted to end up. But that first internship could lead you to a second internship, which could lead you to your full-time position, which is where you might want to be. So I don't think it's too soon.
And as Rebecca can again attest to this, I was in her office, like as a freshman, panicked that I wasn't going to get a job. So I totally understand like the feeling of like, oh my gosh, I got to get an internship right now. And so I definitely, like, I made it to the final rounds of several internship interviews when I was a sophomore, but I ended up not getting one. But what I did do was I took summer classes, and I was heavily involved in a whole bunch of different organizations on campus and leadership positions. And so I used that summer to really boost my resume through those organizations. So even if you can't get an internship, it's really not the end of the world. But I definitely have been in that boat where it's been like, oh my gosh, now I'm not going to ever be able to get a job. And that's so not true. So even if you don't get one, it's not going to be the end of the world. And there will be other internships and other companies that want to like hire you or have you work with them.
I was going to add to that too, because like, even though you like didn't get your internship way, like I feel like it's still like getting that FaceTime out there with like the companies that like you're interested in. And so like if you don't end up with one, Natalie, you just like be showing your eagerness. And if you can score one at this time, it's never too early. If you can score one, it's a huge success. But like don't be discouraged if like you don't end up with one. Like there's still plenty of time out there.
I would also add that I think the internships that are going to suit you the best are going to come in ways that you don't expect. I had my sister was working at the co-working space here in town, and met someone through a party that she was at, and that was the owner of the fellow co-working space, and then got an internship there, which was unpaid, and that led to an internship with J&T and some other opportunities. So just, yeah, keep putting yourself out there. It's always going to help. But that was pretty late in my college career. Kind of had to work over the summers and in other fields to pay for college. But yeah, definitely never too early.
I would also add, as far as, to be very diligent in what, I guess narrowing down what the employers are looking for, because some internship programs are very geared towards those junior, senior level. So if that is a criteria they have, it's like everyone said, it's good to connect with them and hopefully set yourself up if that's something that you really want to go for the following year. One thing we've done with our local internship program is geared it more towards sophomores and juniors, because it serves us well, because if we find good talent, we have a couple more years out of them as students, and it kind of works well hand in hand. So if you can find the ones out there that are looking for more of that sophomore, junior talent, I would say put a lot more of your focus into that. But like Levi said, you can get creative and find something that you just are passionate about doing it, and you'll probably learn something and hopefully make the right connections. That's a big part of internships.
Awesome. And I will say I've seen several even freshman students do internships between freshman and sophomore year. So as much experience as you can get out there and get it. And then one new question came in. As a freshman who will be enrolled in summer classes this summer and next and need to work to pay for college, is not getting an internship until possibly, I guess it would be between junior and senior year, too late?
That's when I got my internship with Frito-Lay PepsiCo turned into a full-time job. So really, it doesn't matter. I mean, like I think like probably the year to get an internship would be your junior to senior year, just because like we've talked so extensively, it's like a lot of times those internships turn into full-time jobs. So just having that internship going into your senior year, knowing that, you know, potentially if you like it and perform well, it could be a full-time job. Just like that is just a really great peace of mind, because I had my full-time job in August of my senior year. So I just spent the whole year, you know, just not even thinking about like career fair or anything like that. So I wouldn't say it's like make it or break it if any of the other years, just like we've discussed, but definitely junior, senior year, you should be out there like looking for an opportunity.
Going off of that too, I was pretty similar. I didn't have an internship until junior summer going into senior year. And I didn't work while I was going to school, but I played soccer. But I think also like using that to your advantage, you know, working while you're going through school shows that you have a very, you know, high capacity of workload. So definitely use that to your advantage as well. Like in interviews and that type of thing, just being able to say that you work while you're, you know, going to school for its full time is huge as well.
All right. And I agree with Kelsey. I actually did not do an internship when I was in school and worked full-time during school and then got promoted when I graduated with that company. So you can always do that as well. It just depends on what your situation is. So if anyone has any other questions, please throw those out there in the chat real quick. And hopefully you get all the contact information. Again, this is being recorded and I will send this link out in the weekly email that the Student Success Center sends every Sunday, so you can come back and check it out and get the information that way. But if no other questions, I will let everyone go 15 minutes early. Thank you all so much for your time. This was awesome. It's really nice to have an event where students get to hear from alumni, especially during this time, and hear some encouraging words, because there's not much interaction face-to-face right now. So it's always really good to have this. So thank you everyone and have a great night. And students, I will be in touch.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.